Do it before sleep. Every night, humanity is given a doorway that most people walk past without recognizing. It is a sacred moment, a brief interval between wakefulness and sleep, where the conscious mind begins to loosen its grip and the deeper layers of being become receptive. Most people enter this state carrying the worries of the day, replaying problems, arguments, disappointments, and fears. They unknowingly plant these impressions into the fertile ground of the subconscious and then wonder why tomorrow resembles yesterday. But there is another way. Before sleep, do not think of what you lack. Do not rehearse your failures. Do not revisit the obstacles standing before you. Instead, use those precious moments to assume that your desire is already fulfilled. Let your final act of the day be an act of creation. The outer world is not the cause of your experience, it is the reflection of your inner state. Therefore, if you wish to change what appears around you, you must first change what you accept within yourself. And there is no better time to do this than before sleep, when the mind is quiet and the impressions you accept sink deeply into the subconscious. Imagine for a moment that tonight is different from every other night. Instead of going to bed carrying burdens, you enter sleep carrying fulfillment. Instead of wondering how something will happen, you feel that it has already happened. Instead of seeking evidence, you become the evidence through your own assumption. Ask yourself, if my desire were already realized, how would I feel? What emotion would naturally arise if the thing I long for were already mine? Would there be relief, gratitude, confidence, peace? Whatever that feeling is, allow it to fill your awareness. Do not force it. Do not struggle to create it. Simply accept it. A person who has already received wonderful news does not beg for it. A person who already possesses what they desire does not chase it. They rest in the certainty of ownership. Before sleep, enter that certainty. Close your eyes and create a short scene that would imply your wish has already been fulfilled. Make it simple and natural. Perhaps a friend congratulates you. Perhaps you look at a bank statement showing abundance. Perhaps you wear a wedding ring and feel the joy of a loving relationship. Perhaps you stand in perfect health, moving freely and confidently. The scene itself is not the power. The feeling it generates is the power. As you repeat the scene, allow yourself to become emotionally involved. Feel the reality of it. Hear the voices. Sense the atmosphere. Experience the satisfaction as though it were happening now. Let the imagined experience become more real to you than the circumstances surrounding you. Many people attempt this once or twice and then abandon it because they do not see immediate results. But creation does not depend upon a single moment of faith. It depends upon persistence in the assumption. Every night you return to the same fulfilled state, you strengthen the impression within yourself. Every night you fall asleep in the feeling of accomplishment, you nourish the seed of fulfillment. The subconscious mind accepts what is impressed upon it repeatedly with feeling. It does not argue, it does not debate, it simply receives. Whatever you consistently give to it becomes the blueprint from which future experiences emerge. That is why your final thoughts before sleep are so important. They are not merely thoughts. They are instructions. They are declarations. They are seeds planted in the deepest part of your being. Imagine ending every day with gratitude instead of anxiety. Imagine falling asleep feeling chosen instead of rejected, prosperous instead of limited, healthy instead of fearful, successful instead of uncertain. Night after night, these assumptions begin to feel natural. What once seemed impossible starts to feel inevitable. And when something feels natural within, it eventually appears without. The world faithfully mirrors the convictions you carry. It reflects your dominant assumptions, your deepest expectations, and the identity you accept as true. Therefore, before sleep, give yourself the gift of a new identity. Become the person who already has what they seek. Do not wait for tomorrow to convince you. Convince yourself tonight. Every day, people spend countless hours reacting to the circumstances of life. They react to what they see, what they hear, what others say, and what appears to be happening around them. They allow the events of the day to determine their mood, their expectations, and even their vision of the future. Then, when night arrives, they carry all of those impressions into sleep. They replay conversations, relive disappointments, worry about unpaid bills, think about obstacles, and wonder why their dreams have not yet appeared. What they fail to realize is that the moments before sleep are among the most influential moments of the entire day. As you approach sleep, the conscious mind begins to relax its grip. The effort required to analyze, judge, and question starts to fade. In this relaxed state, the deeper levels of your mind become increasingly receptive. Whatever occupies your attention during these moments tends to leave a powerful impression. This is why it is so important to become aware of what you are accepting as true before you drift into sleep. Rather than surrendering to the worries of the day, choose your state deliberately. Instead of asking why something has not happened, assume that it already has. Instead of wondering when your desire will arrive, enter into the feeling that it is already yours. The purpose is not to escape reality, but to establish a new reality within yourself. Every transformation begins internally before it becomes visible externally. Imagine that tonight you decide to stop identifying with the version of yourself that is waiting, struggling, or hoping. Imagine replacing that identity with the version of yourself who has already received the answer, already achieved the goal, already experienced the fulfillment. How would such a person think? How would such a person feel? How would they rest at night? They would not be anxious about whether it will happen because, in their experience, it has already happened. This is the attitude you must cultivate before sleep. Allow yourself to become the person you desire to be. If you long for financial abundance, do not spend the final moments of your day thinking about lack. Instead, imagine receiving congratulations from someone you respect. Hear their voice clearly. Feel the satisfaction of knowing that your success is now a fact. Experience the relief that comes when financial concerns no longer dominate your thoughts. Let that feeling become natural. If your desire involves a loving relationship, do not focus on loneliness or separation. Feel the comfort, security, and happiness that would naturally accompany the relationship you desire. Imagine a simple scene that implies your wish has already been fulfilled. Perhaps you are holding someone's hand, hearing loving words, or sharing a joyful moment together. Do not merely observe the scene from a distance. Enter it. Participate in it. Feel its reality. If your desire concerns health, imagine yourself already healthy, energetic, and free. Feel the ease of movement. Hear others commenting on your vitality and well-being. Experience the gratitude and freedom that would naturally arise if your body reflected perfect health. Let your attention dwell upon the fulfilled condition rather than the condition you wish to leave behind. The effectiveness of this practice does not come from the complexity of the scene. In fact, simplicity is often more powerful. A short scene repeated with feeling is far more effective than a complicated fantasy. What matters is not the number of details but the degree of conviction. The scene should imply fulfillment. It should communicate to your deeper mind that the desire is no longer something in the future. It is an accomplished fact. Many people make the mistake of imagining while simultaneously questioning. They create a scene for a few moments and then immediately ask themselves whether it is really possible. They begin to calculate, analyze, and search for evidence. In doing so, they return to the state of waiting. The purpose of the exercise is to move beyond waiting and into possession. You are not trying to convince yourself that something may happen. You are accepting that on the level of imagination it already has. As sleep approaches, allow the feeling of fulfillment to become stronger than the memory of present circumstances. Let gratitude replace longing. Let satisfaction replace frustration. Let certainty replace doubt. The feeling you carry into sleep acts like a seed planted in fertile soil. You may not see immediate results, just as a farmer does not see the harvest immediately after planting a seed. Yet something begins to develop beneath the surface. Night after night, as you return to the same fulfilled state, it becomes more familiar. What once felt imaginary begins to feel natural. What once seemed distant begins to feel present. The new assumption gradually takes root within your consciousness. You stop viewing your desire as something separate from yourself and begin experiencing it as part of your identity. The remarkable thing is that the outer world often begins to reflect these inner changes in unexpected ways. Opportunities appear, circumstances shift, New ideas emerge. Encounters occur that seem almost coincidental. Yet these developments are not random from the perspective of consciousness. They are expressions of the state you have consistently occupied. Therefore, do not underestimate the value of those quiet moments before sleep. They are not empty moments. They are creative moments. They are opportunities to choose who you will be and what you will accept as true. Instead of ending the day as a person who is hoping, end the day as a person who has already received. Instead of falling asleep in uncertainty, fall asleep in fulfillment. Let the feeling of accomplishment become your final companion each night, and allow that feeling to sink deeply into the receptive depths of your being as you enter sleep. Many people believe that their thoughts alone create change. But a thought without feeling is like a seed left on the surface of the ground. It has potential, but it has not yet been planted deeply enough to grow. The true power lies not merely in thinking about what you desire, but in feeling the reality of it. Feeling is what gives life to an idea. Feeling is what transforms a wish into an experience. Feeling is what persuades the deeper levels of the mind to accept something as real. That is why the moments before sleep are so valuable. They offer an opportunity to move beyond words and enter directly into the emotional atmosphere of your fulfilled desire. Consider how different it feels when you merely think about something compared to when you emotionally experience it. You can think about success for hours, but if you continue feeling unsuccessful, the emotional impression remains unchanged. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if your dominant feeling is doubt, uncertainty, or fear, those emotions continue to shape your perception of reality. The goal is not simply to repeat positive statements. The goal is to enter the feeling that would naturally exist if your desire had already become a fact. Before sleep, allow yourself to become still. Let the events of the day fade into the background. Release the need to analyze every circumstance. Stop trying to figure out how your desire will come to pass. The deeper mind does not require explanations. It responds to impressions. It responds to emotional conviction. Therefore, instead of focusing on methods, focus on fulfillment. Ask yourself a simple question. If everything I desired were already accomplished, how would I feel right now? Not tomorrow, not next month, right now. How would your body feel? How would your mind feel? What emotion would naturally arise within you? Would it be relief because a burden has finally been lifted? Would it be gratitude because something wonderful has arrived? Would it be confidence because uncertainty has disappeared? Would it be joy because life has exceeded your expectations? Whatever the answer may be, begin to dwell in that feeling. If you desired financial freedom and suddenly discovered that every financial concern had been resolved, you would not continue worrying about lack. You would feel secure. You would feel relaxed. There would be a sense of ease within you. Allow yourself to experience that ease before sleep. Feel as though the struggle has ended. Feel as though the solution has already arrived. Let that emotional state become more real than the problem itself. If you desired a loving relationship, imagine how you would feel if you were already loved, valued, appreciated, and cherished. There would be warmth in your heart. There would be comfort in your thoughts. There would be confidence in your interactions with others. Rather than focusing on the absence of love, focus on the emotional reality of already possessing it. Let yourself experience the security and happiness that naturally accompany fulfillment. If your desire concerns health, imagine waking up tomorrow with complete vitality and strength. Imagine feeling energetic, capable, and free. Notice the relief that would accompany such a transformation. Feel the gratitude that would arise from knowing that your body is functioning beautifully. Let those emotions become your reality before sleep. Many people attempt this process while secretly remaining attached to the feeling of wanting. They imagine the fulfilled desire for a few moments, but their dominant emotional state remains longing. They continue feeling as though something important is missing. Yet the feeling of longing implies separation. It implies that the desire exists somewhere outside of oneself. The feeling of fulfillment is entirely different. Fulfillment carries no sense of waiting. It carries no sense of absence. It is complete in itself. That is why emotional participation is essential. Do not merely observe yourself being successful. Feel successful. Do not merely watch yourself receiving good news. Feel the excitement of receiving it. Do not merely picture the desired outcome. Experience the emotional reality that would accompany it. Allow your imagination to become so vivid that the feeling arises naturally. As you drift closer to sleep, remain loyal to that feeling. Do not abandon it because present circumstances appear unchanged. Do not allow old doubts to reclaim your attention. The outer world reflects past assumptions. The feeling you are cultivating now is planting the seeds of future experience. Therefore, remain faithful to it regardless of appearances. This loyalty to a feeling is one of the greatest disciplines a person can develop. The world constantly invites you to react to visible conditions. It encourages you to believe only what your senses report. Yet true transformation begins when you choose an inner experience independent of current circumstances. You decide that your emotional state will not be dictated by appearances. Instead, it will be determined by the reality you have accepted within. Night after night, as you continue entering the feeling of fulfillment, something remarkable begins to happen. The emotional state becomes increasingly familiar. At first, it may feel unusual because it differs from old habits of thought and feeling. Yet repetition creates familiarity. What is repeated often enough begins to feel natural. What feels natural eventually becomes part of your identity. You no longer feel like a person hoping for success. You begin feeling like a successful person. You no longer feel like someone seeking love. You begin feeling loved. You no longer feel like someone struggling toward abundance. You begin feeling abundant. The change occurs first within consciousness, long before it becomes visible in the outer world. The subconscious mind accepts these repeated emotional impressions as instructions. It gradually releases old beliefs that no longer match your new state. Limiting assumptions lose their influence. New expectations emerge. New reactions develop. New perceptions begin to form. The person you are becoming internally starts to think differently, act differently, and respond differently. The most important thing is not perfection. There may be nights when your concentration is imperfect. There may be evenings when distractions arise. Simply return to the feeling. Return again and again until it becomes familiar. The power lies in persistence, not in strain. The deeper mind responds more readily to relaxed conviction than to forced effort. As sleep finally overtakes you, let your final emotional impression be one of fulfillment. Let gratitude be the last feeling you carry into the night. Let relief be the final atmosphere surrounding your awareness. Let confidence replace uncertainty. Let joy replace longing. Allow yourself to sink into sleep as the person who already possesses the desired reality, and permit that feeling to impress itself deeply upon the creative depths of your being. One of the greatest challenges people face is not imagining a better future. It is remaining faithful to that vision when the outer world appears unchanged. Most people begin with enthusiasm. They hear a new idea, practice it for a few nights, and feel inspired by the possibility of transformation. Yet when immediate evidence fails to appear, doubt begins to whisper. They start questioning whether they are doing it correctly. They wonder whether anything is happening at all. Gradually, they return to their old assumptions, not because the process failed, but because they abandoned it before it had the opportunity to become established within them. The truth is that every significant transformation requires persistence. A seed does not become a tree overnight. A building is not completed the moment its foundation is laid. In the same way, a new assumption does not instantly replace years of habitual thinking and feeling. It grows stronger through repetition. It becomes more influential through consistency. Every night you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You are strengthening a new state within yourself. This is why persistence before sleep is so important. During the day, your attention is often pulled in many directions. Circumstances demand your reaction. Conversations influence your mood. Responsibilities compete for your focus. Yet before sleep, there is an opportunity to deliberately return to the state you have chosen. Night after night, you reaffirm the reality you wish to experience. Night after night, you occupy the feeling of already being the person you desire to become. Do not judge your progress by what you see around you. The outer world often reflects previous assumptions long after you have begun cultivating new ones. If you constantly look for immediate proof, you may become discouraged by appearances that no longer represent the direction in which you are moving. Instead, measure progress differently. Ask yourself whether it is becoming easier to feel the reality of your desire. Ask yourself whether the fulfilled state feels more familiar today than it did yesterday. Ask yourself whether your inner conversations are beginning to change. These are the true signs of transformation. At first, the desired state may feel artificial. It may feel like something you are pretending to experience. This is completely natural. Every new identity feels unfamiliar in the beginning. Consider a person learning a new skill. At first, every movement feels awkward and unnatural. Yet through repetition, what was once difficult becomes effortless. The same principle applies to your assumptions. What initially feels imagined gradually becomes familiar. What becomes familiar eventually feels natural. And what feels natural begins expressing itself in every aspect of your life. The secret is not forcing yourself to believe. The secret is gently returning to the chosen state whenever your attention wanders. If doubts arise, return to the feeling of fulfillment. If circumstances appear discouraging, return to the feeling of fulfillment. If delays occur, return to the feeling of fulfillment. Persistence does not mean struggling against every negative thought. It means consistently choosing the state you wish to occupy. Many people misunderstand persistence. They imagine it as effort, strain, or constant mental work. True persistence is much simpler. It is loyalty. It is remaining loyal to an inner reality even when external conditions seem to suggest otherwise. It is refusing to surrender your chosen identity because of temporary appearances. It is deciding that what you have accepted within is more important than what is currently visible without. Imagine a person who desires abundance. If they continue identifying as someone who lacks, they reinforce the old state. Yet if they repeatedly return to the feeling of financial security, gratitude, and freedom, something begins to change. The feeling becomes more natural. The identity becomes more convincing. Eventually, they no longer feel like someone hoping for abundance. They feel abundant. Their decisions, expectations, and reactions begin reflecting this new state. The same principle applies to every desire. The individual seeking love gradually begins to feel loved. The individual seeking health gradually begins to feel healthy. The individual seeking success gradually begins to feel successful. The transformation always starts within consciousness. The outer world merely follows the inner change. There will be moments when circumstances appear to challenge your assumption. You may encounter delays, setbacks, or unexpected situations. These moments are not signs of failure. They are opportunities to remain faithful to your chosen state. Anyone can believe when everything appears favorable. The real test comes when appearances suggest otherwise. In those moments, persistence becomes a creative act. You choose not to be defined by temporary conditions. You choose to remain aligned with the reality you have accepted within. Night after night, as you fall asleep in the feeling of fulfillment, the new state sinks deeper into the subconscious mind. Old beliefs begin losing their influence because they are no longer receiving your attention and emotional energy. New beliefs gain strength because they are being nourished repeatedly. The subconscious gradually accepts the new assumption as normal, natural, and true. This process is often so gradual that you may not notice it at first. Then one day, you realize that your reactions have changed, your expectations have changed, your self-concept has changed. Situations that once produced fear now produce confidence. Circumstances that once seemed impossible now seem inevitable. The new state has become part of who you are. The goal is not merely to imagine a different life for a few minutes before sleep. The goal is to allow the feeling of fulfillment to become your natural dwelling place. Continue returning to it night after night. Continue choosing it regardless of appearances. Continue falling asleep as the version of yourself who already possesses the desired reality. Eventually, the feeling will no longer seem like something you practice. It will feel like who you are, And when a state becomes your identity, the world begins reflecting it in ways that once seemed beyond imagination. As we come to the end of this message, remember that the final moments before sleep are not ordinary moments. They are creative moments. They are moments when you can consciously choose the reality you wish to experience rather than unconsciously repeating the reality you wish to change. Each night you are given a choice. You can fall asleep in worry or in confidence. You can fall asleep in lack or in abundance. You can fall asleep in fear or in faith. The state you choose becomes the impression you carry into the deeper levels of your being. Do not wait for the outer world to change before you change your inner state. Change your inner state first. Assume your wish is already fulfilled. Enter the feeling of having received what you desire. Persist in that feeling night after night until it becomes natural and familiar. What feels natural within eventually becomes visible without. The world reflects the person you believe yourself to be. Therefore, before sleep, become the version of yourself who is already successful, already loved, already healthy, already prosperous, already fulfilled. Let gratitude replace longing, let certainty replace doubt, let fulfillment replace waiting. Tonight, when you close your eyes, do not carry your problems into sleep. Carry your victory. Do not rehearse your limitations. Rehearse your fulfillment. Do not drift into sleep wondering if your dream will come true. Drift into sleep feeling that it already has. For the person you become before sleep is the person you move toward tomorrow. And when you consistently fall asleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you awaken not only to a new day, but gradually to a new life.